Hi, everyone. My name is Matt Haynes. I'm an audiobook narrator, and this is part of self-improvement paths for narrators. But, honestly, these paths that I'm going to offer can be applied to just about anything you want to improve. But, for context, because I'm a narrator and a teacher of narration, we'll focus on that. So this week, for the guiding light, the principle that anchors everything together for me that I get to play with is going to be name some obvious landmarks when lost. Okay, what do I mean by that? Well, um, being lost or feeling overwhelmed is a very overwhelming and scary feeling. And it's going to sometimes be very, very confusing as to where to start digging my way out when I've got projects that seem to have a lot of moving parts, or when I'm triggered by something and I feel like, boy, this really isn't feeling good. How do I get back to normal, to neutral? Well, identify some of the basics, and go from there. When they say that when lost in the forest, and I love this idea, by the way. Um, what are some of the obvious landmarks to getting back to civilization? Well, okay, towns usually have rivers going through them. So if you want to get to a town, find a river. Where are rivers? Rivers are typically downhill. Okay, so find downhill, find a river, follow the river into town. Now, I'm not encouraging anybody to go off the path in real life and test this out. I certainly don't want to. But I love this idea of just, okay, what are the obvious landmarks? So, for example, a project that I was working on just today, there's a fellow that I was narrating his point of view, and it was so cynical and so suspicious and so cerebral. And I thought, boy, how do I make this engaging? Where do I start? It just feels so unapproachable. It wasn't the fault of the author, it was just me and my mindset. So I was like, okay. What are some of the things that make for good narration? Okay, good narration, you know what the character wants. Okay, what does the character want? Okay, so then piecing it together with just that simple landmark, what a character wants. And I figured out, oh my goodness, this character is being cynical because they're really out of their comfort zone and they're being self-protected so that they can get back into their comfort zone, which is a very guarded thing. And it made all the difference because throughout the text, I was then identifying when they were succeeding or when they were failing. So figure out what the character wants, identify where they're succeeding and where they're failing. Okay, simple. And it gave me enough leverage to do the narration. Now, students, there can be just sort of this general angst of what does it take to be a good narrator? Or, am I good? Where am I in this process? I think particularly as a student myself, it's how do I line up with other people? So we go to some obvious landmarks. Okay, what are the things that make a person competitive with others? Well, they self-publicize well. Okay, that's one thing to consider. Two, they read very articulately with good enunciation, but they don't overdo it. Okay, what's another element? Perhaps it's that they are making consistent choices within what they do. Ah, bingo. Okay. I need to take some very, very simple choices in terms of voices that I'm using and just make sure that I stay consistent with them. That's all that's needed at this point in this phase of the game, probably to just get you enough leverage so you can get out of the feeling of being lost. Anyway, so find the obvious landmarks or identify the obvious landmarks to look for. That's what I'm going to be doing this week. I'll get back to you my results. You get back to me with yours. Thank you for joining me. And as your narrator and teacher of narration, I hope that our paths cross again real soon. All right.